guys.
Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Stephen Hicks. Stephen is our town manager in Front Royal. Stephen, It's been a few months since we've talked.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's time to get you in here to have us bring us up to date on what's going on in the town. And a lot of things have happened. You've hired a bunch of people and you put your team together. You said you were going to do that, and you did. So.
Well, also when I left here, I was telling you that, we're painting the train while it's moving, and it's still being moving. But I think
I like that train while it's
well, I think it's just not. I think the citizens are seeing it. You know, I mean, a lot of stuff is moving. A lot of energy is in the town, and there's a lot of people who are behind what the town's doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of momentum. But yeah, I think if you look, we've hired 3 new employees. Our human resource director, Del Alosi, our director of planning, who's going to help out a lot with the comp plan. Lauren Kaboshki, she's doing a great job. And then our assistant town manager, Kathleen Leidick. And so I think that team approach, as well as some other key employees that we're having, it's going to change how we go about doing our day-to-day operation. And there's always, you want to hire talented people and rock stars. And so those were there. But since then, if you think about it, council has done a lot as well. I mean, first, we're moving forward with our building code and environmental division. That's going to make a big difference on a one-stop shop for everyone. We're already, August, or the 23rd, we're going to award our comp plan study for our consultants. And then if you look at it, we're still establishing the FREDA, the Front Royal Economic Development Authority. We have $25 million worth of capital projects under the way. We're also putting up the wayfinding signs you're going to see throughout the town. We're also finalizing our special events. I can go on and on and on. And so those are things that just don't happen by accident.
Right, and they don't happen overnight.
No, and council's very focused. We had a great retreat, council did, or advance, depending on who you talk to. They've established some goals, and those goals we're going to continue to work on, and it's based on 0 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, and 5 to 10 years. And the 5 to 10 years, they really have a vision of what this town's going to look like. Right. And it's just great to be part of it. Yeah. And the other thing, I bought a house here.
Well, there you go. You're getting roots.
Well, yeah. They say for a manager, if you rent, you're visiting.
Sure.
But if you purchase, you're committed.
That's right. Right.
And so I'm committed, and this is a dream job, and I got great folks to work with, and the community's great, and our council is really focused on moving forward.
Well, I've always stressed that really the role of our town council is to get out of the weeds and not worry about this day-to-day stuff. That's why we have a town manager form of government, give you the tools you need to do your job. Yeah. And the town, like you talk about these goals, that's really the work of the council, is to focus on 5 year, 10 years, maybe even 50 years down the road of what's going to happen, because these infrastructure projects are not something you just do in a week. Yeah. These are year-long projects, multi-year projects, decade projects sometimes. Look how long we've been working on I&I. I mean...
Well, yeah. And look, the comp plan, 1998, that's how old it is. Yeah. And so they are really focused on what I call the kitchen conversation stuff. They want to make sure we improve the quality of life. We circle back to those 5 goals that I mentioned last time when it comes to economic marketing, infrastructure, appearance, communication, our employees. And so they're juggling a lot of different initiatives, and we're very fortunate. I mean, I tell staff that this is a town that's going to appreciate where we're going to move forward to. But the citizens and the businesses are definitely going to have to help us get there, and the support. So I appreciate your support.
Well, we're trying to do. It's a great place to live for people. Once they get here, you ask people, what do you think when we interview visitors? Like when we close the street, and oh man, I wish our town did this. This is great. Yeah. And they just like that, what I call small town charm. Yeah. And that's really made up of the people. Yeah. It's not about buildings and murals on the wall. Yeah. I mean, that's all nice stuff, but really, it's the heart and soul of the people that that really make this charm.
Well,
And of course, I always say Front Royal is the heart and soul of Warren County, but that's me.
well, Front Royal is part of a community that we need everyone
Sure.
to be ambassador, and it doesn't matter if you live in Warren County or in the town.
Exactly.
I'm going back to Councilman Scott Lloyd, and I mentioned last time we had our discussion. His main thing is, what's the feel? What's the character? What do we want to maintain? What's our vision based on that? And then what should our values be to continue that as a community? Because you definitely, your line items and your budget, it defines where the community's going. Mm-hmm. And so that's an important role. And I appreciate the fact that council gives me 100% support and staff. And so that means a lot, and that's what's going to help staff to get behind the council vision and execute it. That's the key thing. Just don't put ink on paper.
I know
Make
what
something
you mean.
happen.
Well, we've talked. The latest thing happened just the other day, and that's they put the big sign up in front of the Afton Inn. You want to fill us in on maybe you got some inside scoop of what's going to happen there?
Yeah, that's great news. We quickly posted something on the social media just because I'm sure people have noticed it, and we've gotten calls.
I sent Roger down to take pictures.
Yeah.
But the rumor, I tell you, the rumor's been just a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month, that we went over budget. The inflation has made our building materials. We're just going to tear the place down. We're tired of it. And all of a sudden they put up this sign. So rumors.
You know what I've said about rumors? They're easy to spread and bad for the heart. And so it's bad for the community when we have rumors like that. So that's the advantage, I think, that I like to be part of these discussions, just to clear up some rumors or anything that needs to be clarified. But Afton Inn, the mayor met with the developers to East Main Street, and we talked about, in essence, the mayor said, Holloway said, at the end of the day, when are you going to start? He cut to the chase. And he said, when are you going to be done? And so that started the conversation where council, they just want to know information. The community wants to know something. And so they have plans that they submitted to Warren County. Mm-hmm. They're waiting on the permits. Hopefully they'll get them next week. And they're going to go ahead and start doing some structural work on it. And then there's going to be phases of it, but you're going to see activity again around September. I have full confidence that we wouldn't put up a sign and take a picture, but there will be a news release either this week or next week with exciting news. But it's exciting, and that's just it will be one of those anchor buildings that again is going to keep on having a ripple effect of development in downtown as well as throughout. If you can get it, if you can be part of the growth in Front Royal, you're going to appreciate it 10 years because it's going to be one of the most desirable places to live.
Look about our facade programs. Look what Rick Novak has done.
Oh, was that great?
When
you and I were there?
We were there, yeah. We did a whole thing on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that has dramatically changed that end of Main Street.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Laura Cockrell, she was there too.
She said, wow.
She
was
said,
blown
wow.
away.
And her family, they were there. It just changed the whole image of Main Street and raises the bar. And it's those investments that business owners do that slowly makes a difference, and it's compound. And
it motivates someone else to say, well, maybe I can do a little bit, and I'll do a little bit.
Yeah.
Before you know it, it's all done.
And it's not so much the businesses. If you think about it, if someone, if they've not been here in a year, and they come back and they see that, it gives that wow effect.
Exactly.
And it's something that they take and say, man, have you been down Main Street? Have you been down downtown?
Yeah. And
that is something that kudos to Rick, and his bowling alley. Great facility. I've been there. And so, but it's not just Rick. I mean, everyone, all the businesses are doing something, and I tell you, when you walk around, you feel the energy.
It's a synergy that you get. One will build on the other, and
But the key thing is you got to stay positive. We all got to stay positive, and let's not bring in all the negative news. It's just not healthy for the organization. It divides communities. But I will tell you, just sit around the next 5 years. I can't wait 5 years from now we talk about
Sure.
the town of Front Royal.
It'll be
It's,
different. We need.
it's going to be different.
Speaking of 5 years from now, it kind of brings what we're going to do in the future. And you mentioned the Front Royal Economic Development Authority. So, what's the plan on that? Are you going to give us some insight?
Council, they are wrapping up the interviews, and we're hoping by September we will announce the 7 board members, and it's going to be a diverse group of board members. Some, I think, those in the community may recognize or know some of the board members, but also we'll have board members that no one really knows who they are, and I think that's good because you don't want always the same people who are in the same circle,
Right, right.
or
A
know
little
each
diversity.
other. Yeah, and they bring something different to the
Exactly.
table, and that's going to be exciting. And once we get everyone on board, we're going to have our strategic retreat where we start focusing on stuff, and we realize also the county plays a role, and there's been some discussions with the EDA situation, and again, rumors and what's this and what's that. I think council they want to clarify a lot of stuff, and not to say it's any one particular individual, but there needs to be some clarification, and we're still want to be part of that negotiations to resolve issues. And I know that, again, there was a rumor that with the incident that happened on April 26th, and I don't want to go there. I think we've already gotten over that issue to the point where we even have reached out. We want to have a liaison meeting in September. We want to have a joint meeting with Warren County sometime in October. Council has identified topics they would like to discuss. But I think the one that is seems to be something that even Jeff Brown and I and even the Board of Supervisors and Council have in common. We want to resolve the EDA issue.
We're never going to move forward until that's resolved.
No, and it's very simple negotiations that should happen. And I know Jeff, when he was on the town talk, he talked about coming to the table and resolving issues. But we have to come to the table where it's fair for each party.
Yeah.
And,
we want a win-win.
Well, yeah, we want a win-win. I'm even willing to take a tie.
Right.
All right. At least let's identify. But, the authority is a separate entity. I think a lot of people still think it's a Front Royal Ward County.
Right.
It's on its own. If we created the Royal Examiner Authority or Foundation, at the end of the day, you're responsible how you spend your money, how you negotiate, and how you deal with contracts. And I think what has happened is somewhere there's this perception that our council were the ones who negotiate and do the contract, And like IT Federal, the loan that's on that area, our council didn't have the opportunity to do the negotiation, to sign the contract. We did a resolution to support the EDA authority to go get a loan, but we didn't have any specific terms.
Sure.
It's no different if we created the Royal Examiner Authority and you said, I want to build this building, and you come to the town and you say, hey, I want to build this building, but I need kind of your support to show the banks that you support what I'm doing. And you go get the loan, and all of a sudden Royal Examiner Foundation can't pay for it. You can't all of a sudden say, hey, you supported this loan,
Right.
Now we want you to pay for it.
Right.
And the question is, I think a lot of things we got to answer through this negotiation is, can the town help out EDA, and negotiation stuff? No, the real question is, can we legally take on loans and take on some stuff legally? In other words, I can't pave your parking lot legally, right? So there are certain legal issues that restricts what council can do.
Sure.
If we could do stuff legally, we would do it. I mean, we're very transparent. But the question isn't, should the town do X? The question is, can the town legally do X? And I think when you start thinking in that turn, you'll find out we can't do anything. And the principal loan, we got the loan, we refinanced it at 1.87%, and then there's the interest rate that right now the county is paying. And there were discussions we had specifically to share with the county that said, we're willing to share in that cost of the interest because we weren't part of the negotiations. They got the loan at 3.75%. We feel the sweet spot is between 2.5%, and the difference we would be willing to pay. But at the same time, we just can't cut them a check,
right?
Because we got other items that are outstanding with the EDA.
Sure.
We have 4 projects. We have Success Farm. We have Ball Drive. We have Happy Hill Technology Park. We have the Stevenson Industrial Park. All of those, there was overpayments on them. In other words, the EDA billed us twice, the town, and we paid them. And that it ran up to close to $600,000. Now, not pointing fingers of why it wasn't caught. We know that. And we're trying to refine those numbers working with the EDA. And while the EDA negotiations, it never stopped. And on March 18th, we were to have a meeting to find out what those numbers were with the EDA. Well, that meeting was canceled, right? So we need to have that meeting. We need to find out what that number is because even the county has expressed, get the town that number. And so it's like you have plus and minuses. So if we owe, let's say EDA, let's say $400,000 on the interest that is part of the police department building, we don't need to cut them with a check because we also have other items. And so it's like if you got
a credit.
You get a credit. It's like if all of a sudden our folks, they came and they read the meter and it was much more and you come and you say, hey, Hicks, I got a $200 bill. What's going on? I send someone out and we find out it's only a $150 bill. Well, we give you a credit $50.
Sure.
Right? So that's the best approach because we want to make sure that we do our share. We want to resolve this. We're willing to pay. My gut feeling when it's all said and done, we're talking about plus $100,000, $200,000.
Yeah.
And then here we are, even the town, we spent $220,000 on legal fees. We've stopped all the lawyer. January council have shared, hey, this is ridiculous. Go to the table, negotiate. I know that the county has spent $3.2 million. I know they resolved some of the issue with the $9 million requirement. I hope they get some of that money. Something tells me they won't get all of it. Right. I hope it pays for legal fees for the sake of the taxpayers.
It's almost like no one wins.
Yeah. So again, we need to have that meeting that we were going to have on March 18th. That got canceled. We need to have that. We need to know that number for the overpayments for those 4 projects. We need to also resolve, the IT federal, the issue about the $10 million loan that is due December 22nd. Again, it was an endorsement the way I see it. Mm-hmm. And so, I think if I owed you a couple $1 million, I think you would come and want it, right?
We want to resolve the issue and get it behind us.
And so if we owe them money, we want to resolve it. We do, because we got to get over this.
Yeah, that's the only way it's going to happen. Is got to really, when you go into negotiation, what's the outcome we get? We want to resolve it and just work until it's done and quit. Yeah,
we want the March 18th meeting. Yeah. We need to know what the numbers are.
I think the public wants to know. They're tired of it. I think they want to move forward. We got other things to do. I think most people believe you're not going to ever get. We're never going to recoup whatever supposedly is lost. Let's just cut our loss and move on.
I know it's just.
It'll eventually work its way out. Yeah. These things will come out through criminal and civil court, and it'll work its way out. But I don't see where the town and county.
Well, the criminal part, the council. That's why if someone were to say, what was the $200,000 legal fees all about? Our council wants to hold whoever is involved in this criminal activity accountable.
Right.
And that's why the initial dollars were spent. And the initial dollars were spent just to say if there's opportunity for any of the dollars through the bankruptcy and everything, we want it. But I will tell you, council is up for negotiations. They've asked me to take the lead on it and go back with a proposal. But there's going to be a plus and minus type of addition.
Sure,
we just can't cut a check. Because the main thing, the concern is if we cut a check to EDA for $400,000 and then they find out that they owe us potentially $600,000, They don't have the money to cut the check, right?
There you go.
All right.
You already
where,
know
where are
that.
they going to get the money? I mean, unless more
we start
county
another
spots it.
negotiation.
Yeah,
that would never end. It never end.
and they can't go get another loan. It's unfortunate. So, the best thing to do is
Work it out.
Work it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's work out something else. We beat that horse to death.
Yeah.
I see there's a lot of activity up on the south side of town on Royal Avenue there at the old Simon Petrie building. Is that a...
Yeah, I tell you, that's progress, and I think
We've been
that's
talking
the
about
first-
that thing for 40 years.
We have, and we're just great that we were able to go ahead and work with them on trying to make that happen. We're trying to make it as seamless as possible. Can't give you the details exactly what's going to be there, but I think it's going to impress a lot of the citizen as well as the tourism part. Yeah. And Edwin and Philip, they're going to do a top-notch job, and it's going to be something that's going to be very fun to go to, and it's going to be upscale in certain areas. Yeah. It's just the
it'll
quality.
improve that whole area down there. And how about over at the Joe Steakhouse? Any insight on what I've heard? A lot of rumors about that too.
Oh, here we go, butter again. Butter. I'm gonna start calling you butter. No, there are plans to put another gas station there.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And that's one of the guidance council has shared. That when we start, we got to rewrite our. When we do our comp plan, it's going to be rewriting our subdivision ordinance, our zoning
or overlay
ordinance,
districts,
our land use.
Yeah.
And we've heard it loud and clear that we don't need any more gas stations. We don't need any more auto parts.
Vape and tobacco shops, right?
Yeah, we don't need any more any of those areas that. We don't want to be anywhere USA.
Right, exactly.
We want to keep the charm. You gotta make it where.
And those businesses themselves, you are good or bad. That's up to you to decide. But it's where they're located. It seems like when we have our entrance corridor, that's where our gateway, so to speak, coming into town and out of town, should represent the town in a better light than, like you said, anywhere USA. Because anywhere you travel, it's like the same thing, everywhere you go.
And so that's one of the reasons why we have FREDA, right? When we have FREDA and we identify a certain key property that the town and the citizens want to control how it's developed, and when I say how, what goes there and how it looks, which is important. The FREDA, the folks, the Front Royal Economic Development Authority, they have the ability to acquire that property, and they have the ability to select the type of development they want and negotiate if the town or the EDA needs to contribute or not. That's the beauty of having an economic development authority. And Mike, that's a great example where we need an economic development authority, and we needed it yesterday. So that's a good example.
Well, it's moving forward, and it's been a long, like I say, these projects don't happen overnight. It's like anything. I want patience, but I want it right now.
Yeah. And you talk about patience, and going back to the goals that we have, and the goal number 2 is infrastructure. Council's investing $11 million in infiltration and inflow, the I&I. $11 million. That's significant, and that investment, you'll see the return on investment by reducing how we got to treat the water from the rain and stormwater runoff. In addition, they're investing $1.2 million in new pavement. Royal Avenue, Commerce Avenue, Happy Creek, we're going to repave that, Braxton Road. And so these are significant roads that are heavily traveled that are going to have a new surface on top. And that's something that is going to, again, show that we're doing stuff and we're getting stuff done. And if it weren't for the council's vision to make that happen, we would still have potholes out there. And we're fixing the potholes and the blighted properties with our direction on redoing the whole ordinance on that and the policy. We're going after those homes that are dilapidated.
And we've talked about that for forever, and it all boils down to this, our building. We finally, it took years to get our property management ordinance, but then there was no funding and teeth in it to it, so then they got to work it again. But it takes time because councils change, people's visions change, and you get some influence that maybe isn't the best.
Well, that's why the comp plan is going to be a major role. It's the Bible of the community. It kind of guides how we go about developing the community, but just not develop the community, but how we're going to address some other issues from housing, as well as future development when it comes to water capacity. I know the county, they had a sole source where they signed a contract to do a water utility rate study. And so part of the comp plan is working with the county to have a understanding of the need for a water rate study.
Right, right.
And if we could partner, because we had the 522 corridor redundant line. And so, that's a $12 million project. So if the county has a vision of tapping into another water resource supply, those are the conversations the county and the town need to have, because at the end of the day, we all pay the same taxes, double tax, and we don't want to have double water rates either.
Exactly.
And so if it's X amount of cost, let's say $5 million to expand water from Frederick or Winchester or wherever, that's a lot better than spending $12 million, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
I mean, that's not rocket science. So we need to, that's part of the liaison meeting that we're having, part of the comp plan, studying our water needs and trying to resolve some of this stuff. But we need to know what that water rate study is all about that the county wants to do.
Well, we're not going to be able to grow without water, and that's like the number one thing. We might have all the land there is, but if you can't put water on it,
that's right.
You're not going to be able to expand. We have a lot of lots still left in Front Royal, in new areas, but it's all going to boil down to, and we obligated to put utilities to them, so that's another study that
so it'd be
people just don't know where that water goes when they turn that spigot.
No, they don't.
And that's one thing we're going to. Story we've been working on, and before you came, we'll work with Matt Tiedrich about that way. So we're going to develop a story. We're going to follow that water, and from the time you turn that spigot, where does it go, and then how does it get there? And I think that's an important thing for people to realize. All the massive work it takes to get that water from the river into your house. It's a lot.
Well, one of the requests that council has shared and would like to see is we are going to establish like a local government citizen one-on-one. And we're going to have each department kind of give an overview of what they do. And hopefully we get about 10 citizens, and it'll be a 6-month program. But we want to give tours to our water treatment plan, our wastewater treatment plan, because it's some high-tech stuff there.
When I was out there at the sewer plant, I told the person was out there, we were doing the retirement ceremony. It doesn't even smell out here. He said, it's not supposed to.
No.
No. He said, if it smells, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought all sewer plants smell, but it didn't, and it surprised me. So.
Well, those are just one of many things that's going on, and we're establishing our Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee, and that's going to be replacing the Urban Forestry Advisory Committee. And the whole purpose of that is, sustainability in a community is just not only trees and urban forestry. It's much deeper. It's everything from our natural resources to our water resources, even social and economic issues. And I'm a big art fan, public art. I believe in that. It brings the community together. And it's something we need to continue to explore. And so council has asked to look at how we can expand on UFAC. And this Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee will be made up of 5 citizens of town of Front Royal, or if you own a business here. But what's unique about this is we will have a high school student, a senior, on the committee, because I just think that it gives a different perspective on how they see things. And so we'll be looking at it from a more holistic environmental point.
Sure. And
trees will be part of that, and how we go about creating our sustainability plan and our urban forestry plan. And I think it's going to be a great advisory group for council.
Let's finish up with one more topic, and you mentioned environmental. You just hired somebody. About Jim.
Jim Osborne. I tell you, he's lived in Front Royal for 16 years. He's a certified arborist. He's great when it comes to planning and landscaping and maintenance, and he also has his erosion and sediment control certification that allows, whenever there's land disturbance, to maintain that. And so he will be taking the lead on the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee, but also will be helping Robbie Boyer when it comes to some of our tree maintenance and urban forestry. So we're very fortunate to have him on board. We're very fortunate to have new employees on board, and our employees that we have now, they continue to do great work, and council continues to provide support to our employees to make sure they can perform their job. I mean, it's a great place.
Well, we talk about when people, the entrance and coming and driving on the street, the first thing they see is the grass cut? Is it trimmed? Well, look at those flowers. Well, we don't have that where we live, and we get a lot of kudos from just those little intersections and median strips around town that just are pristine. They look so nice. And our petunias that the garden, they hang down Main Street. It's amazing.
They do great stuff.
It's amazing how many people look at that. I mean, it's a simple thing, and a lot of time it takes to water them. I know. Is it John, I think, does all the watering?
He does.
And he's really into it, and he really pours the water to it. And it's
again,
but they grow like they grow like flowers.
Grow like flowers. And again, I want to emphasize that the council is putting additional dollars in appearance, and also the wayfinding sign is also it's just gonna bring it to a different level on the quality of how the sign looks and how it directs people to the right places. And that's a big investment. That's a $1.2 million.
And again, that's been going on for 3 or 4 years to work on that Wayfair project.
Alyssa Scott, she's heading that up and made huge progress and pushed that on through. And so appearance matters. And we shared before that when people come here, that gives it the comfort feeling that also shows pride in a community.
Sure, it does.
And so when people come and they see that they're willing to take care of their community, that tells them also that the citizens here are very proud of what they do. Right. And speaking of that, the National Night Out. Saw you there?
Yep.
Was that a great event or what?
It was great. It was great. They put on and the community came and supported that. So
there were about, I would say, 300 to 400 people there, if not more. And those are the events that I just think somehow just really brings the community together. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying it, but our police department, we don't have much crime going on, and a lot of it has to do is it's not that it's the way they're preventing crime. And how our police
community
department,
policing. I mean, that's
community policing.
Both the sheriff and the police chief are really into the community policing.
They are that, and it's a personal touch. It's a good feeling when citizens can come up and talk to a police officer. I drive around with the chief, and I can't tell you how many times people wave at him, roll down the window, and they'll talk while he's driving. And I don't think there's a person he does not know,
right?
And they don't know him, and that's good because you want to be comfortable talking with your police officers. And all of them do a great job. But we're hiring 2 more other officers, and that is something that council is going to make sure public safety is number one. It's part of that quality of life when families move here and businesses move here. They want to know the crime rate, and we're one of the lowest.
Well, now, next time we get together, we're going to talk about our event projects, because that's kind of in flux right at the moment, how we get events and all these things. And I'm sure by then we'll have that figured out.
We will that.
And we'll talk about events and how things are going, move forward on that, and we'll discuss the budget will be coming up, and we'll talk about how all this personnel changes and restructuring and this team you put together, how is it going to affect our budget? So we'll talk about, I'm warning you now, we'll talk numbers next time.
That's fine.
But we don't know now because it's kind of, we're working on last year's budget, but that's another project that really takes a lot of, you start that the day after the other one gets approved, But we talk about how the team is going to be working, what we're going to do, how our event project, how we're going to structure these things. I think a lot of people in the community are really concerned about that, because that's part of our charm is these little community events that we put on, and I think people want to make sure that doesn't get squashed down. So we appreciate that. I know it's a lot of work, and if you had hair, I keep bringing up hair because I don't have any, but that's They say you can't grow hair on brains. That's what I.
Well, I mean, some people worry about it. Others, I don't worry about it.
I can't see it. The barber holds the mirror up. No mirror. I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. So I appreciate the hard work you're doing. I know you're in a tough position as the town manager.
Thank you.
And we try to support. Right or wrong. If it's wrong, we're going to let you know, and that's what you want. I mean, if people feel upset, they want you to call you and let you know that, hey, maybe you didn't realize something that happened 40 years ago. My uncle did this, and you done tore down his tree that he. There's all sorts of history like that. But if you're upset, or even if you're not upset and you're happy, let you know. I think we want to hear the good things and the bad things as well. But I think overall, we're moving. I like to paint the train while it's moving. You can imagine how difficult that would be. But
we already have one coating on it.
Yeah,
it went so fast we got to repaint it.
Trains is another sore subject. We got to talk about. But it's great to talk to you, and I really appreciate it. And I know you're working hard on it, and we'll keep. We're gonna. Keep an eye on you, see how things are going, and hopefully...
You're not the only one.
Trust me, we know that. So, again, I appreciate it, Stephen. Thanks so much.
And say
hello to your staff and give them kudos for all the things that they do great. Appreciate that. Thank you.